Good morning, Baker. Now, my favorite thing from the past few days is that the House Majority Leader, Steny Hoyer, was asked, why does it take so long to do these deals? Why does you wait until the last minute? And he said, well, we're procrastinators. We keep holding out, thinking that we can get a better deal. And at the end of the day, we have to do whatever deal is available as the deadline approaches. And because you'll remember they passed that 1 week continuing resolution, the deadline moved. And that's why you saw negotiations really only begin in earnest here on Capitol Hill on Tuesday. And in case you're keeping track at home, Baker, that is just 3 days to get a deal together and signed and passed and all of the steps that are needed to pass legislation here in Congress. And so those are the kind of the frustrating parts of this for lawmakers as well, who are calling out their leadership on both sides of the aisle for not providing them text to this legislation. And part of the reason for that, Baker, is that there isn't any text for this legislation so far. They're trying to marry both a COVID relief deal that is going to be a little bit more than $900 billion and a $1.4 trillion government funding deal. Now, both of these deals seem to have a lot of bipartisan compromise and a lot of things in each bill that people like and, well, don't really like. But what we don't know is exactly what it says. We do have some highlights of the COVID relief deal so far, so let's talk about that. We know that it's going to be about $300 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program. Those are those small business forgivable loans that many small businesses are relying on to sort of keep the lights on while their business is in decline because of this economic crisis. It would also extend unemployment benefits, that enhanced unemployment benefit every week. Instead of $600 a week, it would be $300 a week. It would provide direct payments to Americans. Again, having that, looking at about $600 per American that qualifies, a little less if you're in that range above $75,000 or $150,000 for a married couple. So we know that we're familiar with all of this type of text. It just seems to be a little bit less than what we saw back in March, which is fascinating, Baker, because the cases right now are so much higher than they were in March. And I think the vaccine is providing confidence that we will eventually come out of this and maybe there's not as much need for as much federal government spending. But as for whether there's going to be a deal, all the leaders, Republicans and Democrats, are making it very clear that they want to do this deal. They feel confident about this deal, and they think it's going to get done, maybe. Here's Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
We are close to an agreement. It's not a done deal yet, but we are very close. Now, for Democrats, this has always been about getting the American people the relief they need at a time of an acute national crisis.
So you hear there the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, of course, New York senator, speaking about the need for any relief for the American people. That has been the Democrats' top priority. I will take you back in time a little bit, Baker, and remind you that before the election, Democrats were holding out for about $2.5 trillion. A $900 billion bill is obviously much less than that. So they're seeing that their negotiating position has changed post-election. They may have a Democrat coming into the White House, but their majority in the House has shrunk considerably, and they don't know that they'll even have a majority here in the Senate. Right now, those two seats are still up for negotiation in the state of Georgia. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and I think that at this point, doing anything for the American people is better than continually doing nothing, which is what we have seen over the past few months. And I think that the fatigue of that is wearing on the American people considerably. And so this is a time when Congress sees that it needs to act, even if it's waiting right up until the last minute, Baker.